don't think we would necessarily classify union members or unions as a special interest. Union workers represent people who work hard, people who take care of our most needy citizens, who are there on the front lines, whether it's firefighters or police protecting us. And certainly I don't think any one of us here or anyone in this room would deny that we need all of those people who do those jobs, those important jobs, and keep us safe and teach our children and do all of the other very important jobs that they do. However, I do think that we need to look at the needs of taxpayers as well. And I think that we need to, well, first of all, let me just say, the bill that the Labor Committee passed on yesterday, actually, is not a Wisconsin bill. It is not taking away collective bargaining. It is not taking away, actually, let me read to you what it is not taking away. But it is intact, keeping intact much of what collective bargaining is, but it is also looking at the fact that with the burgeoning cost of health care, we need to be responsible in this state in terms of the taxpayers, and we think that we need to take the cost of health care out of what can be bargained, so that it, while still providing health care, it can be a responsible part of what taxpayers have to pay. But let me just read for you real quickly, and I won't take a lot of time at it. What still is very much intact in this bill that is in the bargaining process: wages, hours, vacation, holidays, leaves of absence, shift differentials, overtime compensation, supplemental payments, seniority, transfers, job classifications, health and safety issues, and all matters agreed to by both parties. So there's been a lot of misinformation that's floated around, and I understand that. It's a change. Change is always somewhat challenging to deal with, but again, I think that we need to bring the taxpayers to the table in terms of how negotiations are done with unions.
Hello. It's working again. There it is. Hello. The reports on the collective bargaining bill that came out of committee were actually in conflict. Some reports said it was as it originally started. Does it still have the stuff about binding arbitration?
What specifically?
Well, the provision that says if the governor doesn't like it, he can say it doesn't bind it.
No, that's out.
That was struck. Okay, so they've already made some changes in the bill. Before that was struck, it was the Wisconsin bill. Okay, it effectively repealed collective bargaining in the state before that, because it said we have a system now that has binding arbitration. This was this labor law we have in the state of Iowa was passed by a Republican legislature in 1974, signed by a Republican governor in 1974. It is not exactly the best, most labor-friendly collective bargaining law in the country. As a matter of fact, it is so stacked already to the benefit of management that it was a few years ago that the teachers in the state of Iowa, this powerful labor group in the state of Iowa and this collective bargaining law that so stacks the advantage for labor, they had managed to negotiate themselves all the way up to 42nd in the country on teacher pay. Really stacked in favor of unions, wasn't it? Now, there's a lot of talk out there. There's a lot of talk about health care. By the way, the state and many local governments have pretty generous mechanisms in terms of paying for health care, health insurance in the state of Iowa. When they got that, they actually gave up funds on the other side of the ledger. So when you take everything into consideration, there's a lot of talk that public employees make more than private employees. Well, it is true that well over 50% of the people that work in state government, the positions require college degrees. And it is true that people with college degrees tend to make more than people at the minimum wage. That's a true fact. So if you take all of those things into consideration, and you really look and compare apples to apples in terms of state employees or local employees, and look at their actual job descriptions and compare them, public employees make about 11% less than folks in the private sector. So it's not really that the deck is stacked against management in the state. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of talk about this bill as it moves forward in the process. They've already changed it significantly in the House. If changes continue, we may, in fact, be willing to take that bill up in the Senate and go further with it. If we're just going to have to wait and see what they actually produce. But I got to tell you, there's a heck of a lot of misinformation out there. I want you to remember something. You're talking about your friends and neighbors. You're talking about people that run into buildings that are on fire to get you out of them. You're talking about people that have some of the toughest jobs in the world. You're talking about social workers that deal with in-crisis families. You're talking about guards in our prisons and our jails that protect us. You're talking about your friends and neighbors. So look around when you hear talk about public employees. They're right next to you. They were out this morning, put on the sidewalks for us.
Thank you. And you did, and as the senator said, we did change the bill. We're just seeking an appropriate balance between public employees and taxpayers. Over the decades, we've gotten to the point where public employees get 30% more pay than their equivalents in private employment and 70% better benefits. And we're just looking for some sort of balance between the taxpayers and the public unions. Now, in terms of the bill, there's still a big stink bomb in there that we offered to take out if we could just get the bill through, and we failed to do that. So we sat there until 6-something in the morning, and there were parliamentary procedures that we could have done to stop the debate. We didn't do that because we wanted to allow them to give full comments. There were 51 amendments. Most of them were not sincere. They were really, in fact, Representative Murphy said, well, these are really kind of humorous amendments. But we allowed them to do that until they got tired of talking, and we'll continue to do that. We'll allow people to have their say on what they want. But again, this is not Wisconsin. Everything that we've done so far has been done in a very civil manner, and we will continue doing it in a very civil manner. But we are seeking that balance, the appropriate balance between the employee and the taxpayer.
As they said, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of changes between now and the time the bill is completed. And you'll have to excuse me, I'm kind of fighting a cold right now, so my voice may not be the best. The only thing I will say is that 84% of the state employees do not pay anything towards their monthly health care premiums. I think we all need to share sacrifice. This day and age, it's probably been 25 years since I haven't paid my share towards premium on health care, monthly health care premium. Thank you.